Hi, I'm Alaina De Los Reyes. I'll be doing an analysis on Zhuge Liang or Kongming in the Three Kingdoms, and I'll be focusing on the second prompt, or rather upon how Liu Bei meets Zhuge Liang for the first time, and the events that happened right prior. So, on the surface, we know that Zhuge Liang is also known as Kongming, and in chapter 37, we realize that he is a very hard man to find. And we also learn that his title is the Sleeping Dragon, which is interesting in my opinion due to the symbolism around sleeping and dragon and the combined term sleeping dragon, which I will be explaining and pondering upon in the next few minutes. And we also quickly learn that he is a master strategist, highly respected by those who know him, even though Liu Bei's sworn brothers are a little impatient, or maybe a little more than a little, are impatient and want Liu Bei to give up. So prior to meeting, Liu Bei learns quite a bit about Zhuge Liang through the people acquainted with him. And it's honestly quite humorous as Liu Bei believes these people to be Zhuge Liang, only to be quickly corrected and then told about how great Zhuge Liang is. The people that he meets are Stillwater, Kui Jiuping of Boling, Xin Guangyan of Yinchun, and Meng Gongwei of Runan, Zhuge Jun, which is Zhuge Liang's younger brother, and I will be discussing a quote from page 137, which I find very interesting in a second, and Hong Chengyan, who is Zhuge Liang's father-in-law. The quote I wanted to discuss by Zhuge Jun on page 137 is in relation to why they call Kongming Sleeping Dragon. Okay, but first, before I discuss the quote, I wanted to talk about what Sleeping Dragon and the immediate images that came to my mind first. I find that the title Sleeping Dragon is interesting because of the dragon's significance in East Asian religions, so like Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism. They were known to be symbols of strength and enlightenment, which fits the stories told to Liu Bei of Zhuge Liang's achievements. I'd also like to place the same significance of the modifier sleeping by itself. When Liu Bei does eventually meet Kongming, Kongming is quite literally sleeping. Yet, I also like how sleeping also then comes to hold the connotation of patience. While looking for Kongming, Liu Bei searches earnestly despite his sworn brother's impatience and doubts about Kongming's skills. It also reminds me of the Taoist term Wu Wei, which means actionless action, which I learned quite recently through how while Liu Bei is looking for Zhuge Liang, he is not really doing much of anything else. He's just earnestly searching out for Zhuge Liang and then allowing time to occur. Wu Wei translates to actionless action, which could be meditation, or just waiting for what to come. On page 137, Zhuge Jun's song says, "The phoenix swinging on the air will choose no tree except the Wu. The scholar keeping to his lair will have no lord except the true. Oh, let me till these furrowed fields by the sweet home that I call mine. In books and song I place my dreams and wait the time the fates assign." It adds on to this sense of fate and supernatural that Kongming is sleeping until his true lord, or rather Liu Bei, decides that it is time to call upon him. Which is why I find it quite interesting that they call him Sleeping Dragon, seeing as to how he's quite literally just waiting, or how the songs associated with him are around the sense of waiting for a true master. Upon meeting, Liu Bei's impression of Zhuge Liang is also the audience's impression of Zhuge Liang, seeing how we are seeing this story in a closer psychological space as Liu Bei rather than as a third party. His impression of Zhuge Liang is explicitly stated that quote, Kong Ming appeared singularly tall, with a face like gleaming jade and a plaited silken band around his head. Cloaked in crane down, he had the buoyant air of a spiritual transcendent. End quote. From page 143. Kong Ming seems extremely humble when speaking of his own abilities, saying that he, quote, only hopes that Liu Bei will overlook his crudeness, his lack of status, and vouchsafe Liu Bei's edifying instruction on page 143, which stirs a conversation to Liu Bei, revealing his hand and his disadvantages, which quickly turns to the both of them, talking logistics about the current affairs of their world. Without them yet confirming any type of loyalty to one another, they begin discussing plans showing their compatibility. While Liu Bei could be seen as too merciful, unwilling to seize land from other imperial kinsmen, Kong Ming is able to view their plans objectively, while not being merciless, thus helping Liu Bei balance out his mercy and focus on what will attain his goals without losing his humanity. Also, I forgot to please to read what Kong Ming said as he woke up. From this great dream who would awaken first, all along I've known the part to play, to sleep in springtime and to ask no more, though outside longer grow the days. It relates back to my idea of the sleeping dragon, where Kong Ming is quite literally sleeping, just waiting for the appropriate time to wake up, waiting for the appropriate master, or rather Liu Bei, to come find him when he is needed. And that he knows that his time will come where he needs to play a part, which is as Liu Bei's advisor. Okay, so finally moving on. In modern media, this is a little add-on. The first thing I thought of when I heard the name Kong Ming was the relatively recent anime adaptation of a manga called Ya Boy Kong Ming, where Zhuge Liang is transported from ancient China to modern-day Japan, who then uses his military tactics to turn his newfound friend into a music star. Which is honestly pretty interesting, saying that I think this is the newest rendition, I suppose, with a focus solely on Kong Ming or Zhuge Liang by himself. Okay, so thank you so much for sitting through my presentation. I hope that it made sense because I got a little tangled up in my words. I'm sorry, but thank you.